What do you think, bud? What's this?
Oh my goodness.
What's that? Sniff it.
Oh, I can't wait to hear that. Is that a chicken candle? It smells like chicken.
You can...
What's that candle flavor?
It's lavender pine.
No, it's chicken. What am I smelling? Is chicken. I'm not saying that because it's Odie. I'm actually smelling chicken right now.
What?
It smells like hot dogs. You don't smell hot dogs?
Is it just because it's
bacon?
It's a fresh. It's the match. It's a new candle back there. It's probably it's the match.
It smells like maple bacon.
You're smelling the match.
No, I know what matches smell like. I love match smell. It smells like bacon. I like bacon too, though.
It's a lavender pine. Oh, I like that chair closer because he has access.
Access. You gotta be involved, don't you?
You can be involved. You can be in the video.
FOMO.
You can be in the video. People can see how big your ear is.
Oh my goodness gracious. You wanna come with us?
Oh, okay.
You wanna sit here? Hello.
Well, we may as well start while he's here then.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Ooh, cute.
Hello everyone, you're very welcome back to another video. I'm here with Ashton for the next installment of our series together. So welcome to part 3.
And our offspring.
And our offspring is here. Oh, mic sniff. I love a good dog mic sniff.
Sniff the mic, bud.
Yeah, so Odie's here with us. He's probably going to sit here for as long as he feels like it.
Get bored in a second. He'll curl up here and take a nap, but he wanted to say hello. Pathetic, I don't care. I don't care.
Tell them to subscribe. Subscribe equals 1 dog. 1 like equals 1 Snoop. So it's been a little while since we filmed part 2. I think we had planned.
2? We did 2?
Yeah, we had planned. No, this is 3.
This is 3.
Yeah, we had planned to do it before the holidays, but things get busy at the end of the year, as we all know, and lots of things have happened.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, we had a nice Christmas. Our city's on fire.
Oh,
but
there's that too.
Yeah.
Oh, there he goes.
Okay.
Take the candle. Oh, he's got your makeup bottle.
Oh, whoops! I forgot to.
I just took your.
Oh no! Oh no! I forgot to take that off the bed. Whoops!
What? Get your ass!
He's got my little beauty blender. Shoot. Well, now it's a soggy beauty blender.
No, he's a good boy. Give it back.
Oh, good boy. Here, I'll take these. Thank you.
You want a wet makeup ball? That was all for attention.
I cannot wait to rub that all over my face. Anyway, we're safe. We're good.
Thank you for those that care.
Yeah. And for those of you who don't care. So we wrapped up last time with talking about, like, you came to Ireland, you met my family, and we talked all about that story. And we kind of arrived at a good stopping point at the end of the last video. And we said today we would talk about emigration and that whole visa process. I think it was Jack Lacey Bro's comment that we pulled up from that was actually from the first video. So
yeah, getting married. Okay,
yeah.
So because I know I talked about, talking to your dad and like the plan was set in stone. We did cover the proposal.
I don't think we covered it. We mentioned it.
We moved through that period of time. Like where chronologically are we picking this up?
We didn't really tell the story of the proposal. We just kind of, like, you talked to my dad. That was it.
That was it? Okay.
That's about where we left off.
There's the dynamic of, like, I'm going to propose. It's kind of obvious. The visa thing is almost kind of, that discussion almost happens before. Like, you have, like,
yeah,
I'm going to propose. Okay, you're going to say yes, I hope. But then, like, okay, but we kind of already need to, like, have an idea of what our plan is. And maybe that can be part of the discussion here, is that when you're planning something like that with someone from another country and you've got the immigration thing to factor in, it kind of changes the order of the way that you talk about things.
Very true.
So I'm trying to remember what came first, but I know that by the time I actually did the proposal, this discussion had already started between you and I.
Yes.
Like, it wasn't a complete surprise.
It wasn't, no, because we talked about last time, you came to Ireland for my birthday in July of 2018, and then you proposed to me in August of 2018, because then I then went to you for your birthday.
Right.
And that's when that happened. But I don't really remember, honestly, I don't remember specifically, like, when we started.
What we talked about. It's been a few months, y'all.
No, I mean, back then, what we, like, who was the
Oh.
first one to bring up like the K1 visa, or you know what I mean?
I mean,
Like
I think it just kind of naturally,
yeah.
you know, when we talked for hours.
Yeah.
When our time zones overlapped.
Yeah.
You know, which usually was later at night for me and in the morning for her.
Mm-hmm.
It came up. I don't remember who brought it up, but it was certainly, you know, and I think I'm trying to remember, did I tell you about that conversation with your dad? Did you know I mean, you were kind of aware it was happening while it was happening.
Yeah.
But did we talk about it immediately after? I'm trying to remember.
Oh, immediately after.
Or like in the interim
remember.
in between. I'm pretty sure I told you I did that. Like I told you what happened. Like I didn't keep that like.
Yeah, no, because we did talk about this last time where like I came out and then we all talked together after you talked to him. And like, but do you mean
That's
like after?
True.
After
I mean,
after?
I guess like after the trip, like did I?
Okay.
I think I recounted kind of all the things that were happening in the setup for that with your mom and
yes,
you know.
Yeah,
so
we did all that.
The topic of future marriage was common between you and I prior to me actually proposing to you. The proposal was kind of not an afterthought, but like a chronological afterthought.
Like this will be the next step.
We already knew that was coming, and it just, I mean, I wanted to do it proper, like officially, but like that's not like it was like, oh, you know,
oh my god,
yeah, like
I had no idea,
right?
Yeah, well, I think in my own head, I'd assumed that you would do it in the next trip, but I didn't know exactly when.
And then when we filed the first paperwork,
that's right.
Was it before the proposal? I feel like it might have been.
I think it actually might have been. I think so.
It's going to be a lot of trying to recall dates. Yeah. This process, as we'll explain, is, and all we can speak on is our perspective. Yes. And our perspectives are also different because we have to do different things.
Yeah.
But it's not just like one step and it's one thing. It's several steps, several things, several applications, several interviews. It's a succession of things over a 2-year period, really.
Yeah, it's a whole
to get us to this point
process.
And so it'll be hard to recall like specific timelines because it was all such a blur in the sense of our lives changing so fast. I do remember that discussion happening between you and I on more than one occasion before anything was official. Yeah. To the point where I could even look at the dates of our emails with the attorney. I'm pretty sure that we got this ball rolling before I proposed to you because we knew it was going to be such a long period of time.
That sounds about right. I think because we did hire an immigration attorney to help us out because it was such a...
If you have the means to do it, highly recommend. It just streamlined the entire process and made it... It's a very difficult process.
It is.
When it comes to all the evidence to be collected, all the forms to be filled out. It's not just like applying for a driver's license. I mean, this is an entire... You're putting your entire life in a packet, in a folder, and it has to be done a very certain way, very much like your taxes. You know, it's like they know how it needs to be done. They're not going to tell you all the information you need, and if you screw it up, you go to prison. So, you know, it's kind of one of those situations.
Oh gosh, yeah, it's hard to know where to begin. I don't remember when we filed the very first. Because I remember there's like an initial form or set of forms to send in to like get the ball rolling.
Let me see if I can find the very first email with the immigration attorney. Because I remember I didn't know the immigration attorney. He was referred to us from my previous employer who now represents Trilogy.
That's cool.
But they don't do immigration, so they referred us to a man that does.
That's the law firm that you used to work at.
Yes. They referred us to this guy. Well, yeah.
Maybe while you do that, I can explain the type of visa we had and what that means and, you know, just for people who have no idea.
This actually makes a lot of sense. April 12th, 2018.
Oh, my... April.
I didn't look at these dates before this, but I filled out a form on their website saying I was referred, and his first email back to me was on April 12th, 2018. Wow. Scheduling then our first consult, which was April 19th.
What did you say to him? What was your first message? Can you say?
I don't have it because I sent it on his website.
Oh, okay.
It was like a form submission. All I have is his reply.
Got it.
And then obviously the rest of the conversation is here.
Yeah.
We're going back and forth about schedules.
Okay.
Following week looks good. Just for some, let me know. Oh, I haven't read any of this.
I know, this is wild.
Also, just for some clarity, the short-term goal here is for myself. my dad, who's helping with the process, and Amy, girlfriend, in parentheses, to hop on a call so we can ask all the questions and get on the same page. So, we ended up doing it on the 20th, actually. We ended up scheduling it for April 20th.
420, baby.
Blaze it! So that, and then all the emails are since then. And then the Let's Get Started chain was right after that, where we got all the filing fee information. My email to him on April 23rd. Thanks for the consult. We're ready to move forward. And you're CC'd on this. So you know what? I probably left Ireland after that hurdle and was like, okay, let's fucking go. I don't need to wait around. Like, I don't need to wait. I mean, I'm going to get a ring and do the right thing, but we already talked about it. It's not like a surprise. So I probably was just like, let's get on this thing because I don't know how long this is going to take. So April, wow. I didn't realize it was right away.
It was right away. When you put it this way, like when you're in the moment, it doesn't feel like, it feels like, a snail's pace.
Yeah.
But when you put it, we met in December 2017, and this is April 2018.
Hiring an immigration attorney. You still like me?
They're so fast. Like, it doesn't, when you're going through life, you kind of feel like there's, between December and April, that's like a long time. But when you actually look back and you go, it was like 5 months, 4 to 5 months since we met.
Well, we were very fortunate that we had the means to make sure we had a way to see each other every few months, and that we would have a trip planned before the previous trip was over. Mm-hmm. Like, considering, people ask the question all the time, can long distance work? Yes, it can, but it is a lot harder, and it's going to take a significant investment of your time and your money and everything else to keep the relationship moving forward if that's what both parties want. Mm-hmm. We were able to do that. It wasn't easy, but we figured out a way, and I wasn't going to let anything stop me from seeing you as much as I could. Mm-hmm. And
vice versa. So
when I had the green light, so to speak, from Papa Finn, I was like, all right, let's get to work. We got shit to do.
Actually, I did read one comment, seeing this, so you brought up Papa Finn. I read one comment that made me laugh so much. This is my cousin. She watched the video and she left this comment. Meeting Finn while he was painting is gas. I never knew this. Lol, so typical.
Kirsty! Yeah, that was... Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, you've talked to your family a lot since part 2. I didn't offend anybody with my stories.
What was offensive about it?
It's personal, it's vulnerable. No. I know it for Papa Finn especially.
I think we found a good balance of like telling the story, but not
making anyone feel uncomfortable.
Not making anyone feel uncomfortable. Like saying what happened and being honest about it, but not at the expense of anybody else.
Oh yeah.
At the everybody's loved our, and actually we've had lots of families say that they're learning things about us because there was so much that we went through together that we kind of didn't talk about.
You're crazy.
You're crazy. So we could talk about, I know we're kind of far into the video, but we decided to take the route of the K1 visa. So for anyone who is not a US citizen, you have to get a visa if you want to move or spend some time in the US that's longer than like a vacation, which I believe is like 90 days or something, whatever a travel allowance is. I think that's common for a lot of countries though.
You were able to visit before having a visa. You didn't even need a travel visa. You can maybe explain what this is, but it's something called ESTA.
Oh yeah.
Which is like not even a visa, but it's like certain countries are on this like pre-approved list where you can visit. There's something like that. That's how you visited. You use that multiple times, almost to your detriment. I don't know if you want to talk about that, but
we can. It's weird to look back. I can look back at that experience, and I don't think I did everything right either. In terms of,
you didn't do anything wrong.
Well, no.
I was just saying that you were talking about you need a visa to come here, and you didn't actually need one to visit. The visiting process was relatively uneventful. It wasn't until we started filing paperwork where things got difficult. But
yes.
Wherever you want to pick that up.
Okay, yeah. See, traveling from Ireland, if you're in Europe, you're generally in this, like, I'm not sure if all countries, I suppose it's got like the, you know, England and the European Union and all that, like there's what's known as the common travel area. So you can kind of travel like to France, to Spain, to England, and, you know, your passport is fine. Beyond that, I don't really know. But if you want to go to the States, there's an extra form to fill out with your travel documents called an ESTA form. And it's pretty much, you just kind of, it's kind of almost like maybe a little bit of a travel background check. I don't really know how else to explain it. I'm not an expert.
I'm sure there's people in the comments will know everything.
I'm sure, but it's basically you just take, it's just like, you know, you fill in your name and your passport number and just a few personal...
It's like a pre-auth. To enter the country.
And it's also just like, have you ever, you know, do you have a criminal record? Have you ever been deported from the United States before? Like,
which, if any of those are a yes, you won't get it. It's basically just like the TSA pre-check of traveling to the States.
If everything is no, you're fine, you're good to go. But you do have to have that form filled out, because if you're going into the States without that form filled out, I'm pretty sure they'll yell at you. So
K1 visa.
So, I mean, there's lots of different types of visas, and I actually remember at one point I actually looked into a graduate visa. I don't even know if I told you this. Do you remember? Like,
vaguely,
early days, but I actually no longer qualified for it because I graduated college in 2015. So it was valid until the end of, like, the window was till the end of 2016. And so, you know, that was an option I explored in the beginning, but I wasn't eligible for that anymore. I don't know how the K1 visa came up.
Well, it's made famous by the show 90 Day Fiancé.
Right.
We'll talk about how the show presents it and what the process actually is. But the K1 visa is intended not to be a visa for you to get to know your partner. It's meant to be a visa for you to marry your partner.
Yeah.
So you you are approved and you go through a million hoops of verifying your relationship. You get a one-time entry to the country from for the immigrant. They enter the country one time on that visa, and then they have 90 days to get married. And then with that visa and the marriage certificate, you are then able to apply for the green card, which starts at a temporary green card and then a 2-year green card and then eventually a 10-year green card.
Yeah, the 2-year green card is the temporary
It is?
green
Okay.
card. Yeah.
I couldn't remember because you didn't get that card right away.
No.
You had to use a paper with, I don't know, it was kind of confusing.
Yeah. I had to have a letter.
Yeah.
A letter with my passport.
Oh, it's because your 2-year expired.
Yes.
But it's not really expired. You have a letter that says it's not expired, even though it is expired.
But it's in the process of, like, they're making me the 10-year one to send to me.
Yeah, the letter undoes the expiration.
Yes.
But we had to use it because we went on a cruise.
Right.
And we had to re-enter in because otherwise all you have to show is an expired green card. That's not good.
And then they'd send me back to Ireland.
Yeah.
That'd be it.
Yeah.
Like, it's really like...
Yeah, it's
quite scary.
Again, it's like a tax return. They don't tell you these things in plain English, but if you screw it up, you go to jail. So
or you get deported.
They know all the answers. They won't tell you all the answers. You have to figure them out for yourself and hope you don't screw it up. So anyway.
That was very important to me, is like, I know, like, you can just... People do this all the time. You just go to a country and just stay there and not really do any paperwork. I mean, whatever. People are on different paths. But for me, it was important to me that, like, if I'm gonna marry Ashton and set up a life there, like, I don't want anything to potentially take that away in the future. So I was like, I'm adamant to, even though it's going to take more money and more time, I want to do this properly. I want to go down the proper path, because if I'm going to go through all the effort of shifting my life so much.
And this is like, I mean, we're talking about our experience with immigration.
Right.
We're not making any comments on immigration.
Oh, no.
But we wanted to do it the right way, the legal way, the way that we don't need to worry about anything.
Exactly.
And we knew it was going to take longer to do that.
And more money.
And more money, but that's what we chose to do.
Yeah.
And the process of getting that first K1 is very difficult. There's a lot of vetting that goes on from both sides. Because not only are you applying for the visa, but I'm also submitting a petition to the government saying that I'm going to be financially responsible for this immigrant for a period of 10 years, regardless if we stay married or not. And I have to prove it. I would
like to marry an alien.
I have to prove that not only do I have the financial means because
Yeah.
you're not allowed to work for a while. When you
Right.
get here, you're not allowed to work until you get your social security number and your green card. So I have to prove that she's not going to be living off of government benefits, that I
Yes.
can support her during
Yes.
that time,
Yes.
and will continue to, even if we split up.
So hypothetically, if I came and we got divorced after 5 years, you're still responsible for me financially until that 10 years is up.
Shit.
From my... So I could have a great...
You could really screw me over if you wanted to.
And I could have a great time too.
Hey, I'm sure you could. One thing I find interesting, and we were very familiar with 90 Day Fiancé. It's actually become one of our guilty pleasures to watch, just because it's just such trash, but it's fun.
Yeah.
Everyone's got their guilty vice pleasure, whatever. We enjoy watching it because it's fun to compare. Obviously, it's all heightened drama and shit that we are way too boring to qualify. Although we were reached out to by one of the members of casting during this process.
That's right.
That's a side story.
Yeah.
Not really much of a story. We didn't do it, but obviously. But
I wouldn't have done it. Nah.
But I didn't know a whole lot about the show at the time. We've since watched it quite a bit. But the show definitely portrays an air of the 90-day visa being this decision-making period of will they, won't they?
Yeah, will they get married at the end of the 90
exactly.
days?
Like, that's not how it's supposed to be.
No.
That's not what they're looking for. And the show never shows the interviews because they're probably not allowed to film the interviews.
Right.
And that's one of the unanswered questions for me when I watch the show. I watch these two people that are batshit crazy. They're not compatible at all. They don't even like each other sometimes. Yet somehow they go into these interviews and they get approved, and it blows my mind, because we'll talk about our interview. It was not easy.
It was not easy.
Even being fully 100% truthful, we're not putting any kind of illusion on whatsoever. We were still nervous.
Yeah.
It's like when you have nothing to be nervous about, but you're still nervous just because of the situation,
Yeah. It's terrifying. And how many situations in your life do you end up where you're in a room with a person you don't know, a government official, and you have to prove to him that you're in love.
Yeah.
And that your relationship is legit.
It's real.
It's such a weird...
It's very strange. It's very strange.
So we had that whole process of proving to the US government that we were a legit couple.
And you had to do multiple interviews. At least one on your own, or was it two on your own?
I had to do one on my own. That on its own is a whole...
Which I wasn't even there for, because it was in Ireland.
It was in Dublin, in the US Embassy in Dublin. I had to go do all that.
And then we had hours together in downtown LA.
Yes.
Which we were almost late for, right? Weren't we running late and we were freaking out a little bit?
Well, we were on time, but there was a queue out the door.
That's right.
And...
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember, because I was calling them from the line.
Yeah.
We were like, are you going to, deport us? Us, and they were, it was actually ended up being okay. The only nerve-wracking factor was actually in the meeting. The guy meant business.
Oh, yes. I mean, he was nice.
He was nice, but he was very direct. We'll talk about it, but answering a lot of very random but specific questions that you would never think they're going to ask you, because they're trying to catch you in a lie.
Yeah.
And things you don't think about.
Yeah. Your whole potential life is hanging on the answer you give, and if they're trying to trip you up and you
misspeak.
Are like it's like they have the power to take away your other half, and
they could screw you over for a long time.
Yeah.
It's a lot of the obvious questions, how did you meet? What are you doing? Blah, 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 blah. What are your plans? But then it's also like, what are your favorite things to do together? And in the moment you're like,
you're like, I don't know, we watch stuff.
We listed a few things off. I remember going to the movies was one of the things we said. And then he's like, oh, what movie theater do you go to? Oh, what do you get snacks? Oh, who pays for the tickets? What was the last movie you saw? What theater did you go to? Where did you sit? Did she sit on the right or the left? Like a lot of
you're like,
what?
Yeah.
Like they're trying to.
It's not like you're lying, but it kind of makes you go. Yeah. I do remember him being very money.
A lot of the questions were about finances.
Especially to me, he was like, how much money do you have? Like, how much money did you come to the States with? How did you earn that money? Like, what did you do before you left?
He's really digging for, proof that, and the other thing too is you have to bring a shitload of paper proof of a lot of things. Not just your applications and everything, but pictures together,
Pictures with each other's families.
Documented events that you've gone to together.
Yeah.
But also, and this was a tricky one, evidence of your combined finances. So like evidence that you were merging your lives together.
That's
Not just like my
right.
bank statement, her bank statement. We had to, I remember this was really hard. We're like, and they give you a list of like examples, but like I think the renter's insurance was one thing I found that had both of our, like you have to find documented proof that your names are merged together in some kind of financial way. Whether that be insurance policies or apartment leases. But then a lot of that stuff is hard to get when you're not a citizen. So it's a little bit of a catch-22. I'm like, how do I get a financial document for her? She doesn't have a social security number yet. She just got here on a K-1.
Right.
We're just getting married. Like, it's a lot of that shit you don't think about. And you're like, okay, well, which ones can I bring? And then you could bring it, but I'm like, well, my name's on it, but her name isn't. But even though she's part of it, I had to explain. And then he's like, well, this doesn't work because it's not.
We were.
Name on it.
I mean, we're kind of jumping around and we're skipping ahead, but just like my head's in that final interview. That was the last step we had to take, which was after the wedding, right?
I think so.
I think this was after the wedding.
It had to have been because that's what qualifies for the green card.
Yes.
Like you have to. It
was the green card interview.
You have to get the marriage done and legal before the 90 days are up. And then you have to submit that to the courts. Like I remember we had to go to the court and swear.
Yeah.
And then we have to take all that in. And so it's just a series of like resubmitting. Thankfully, again, we had the attorney to help us guide us through it, which I highly recommend if you can. But it's all over the place as we're talking about it, but that's because it's all over the place in our heads. But
do you remember the end of the interview though?
Yes.
Yeah.
He approved.
It was just when he finally said it, it's almost like that feeling of like you passed your driving test.
Yeah.
But even more, you're kind of like, oh.
Didn't he even make a comment like, it's kind of obvious you guys are legit? Like,
I think he did,
because
actually.
During the interview, he was being so, what was the word you were trying to say? Scrutinous? Scrutaneous? Comment section can correct me. He was being very critical and very specific during the interview that we're almost wondering, like, are these answers not sufficing? Like, is he questioning us? But then at the end, it was kind of like, the poker face was lifted and he was like, all right, you guys are clearly in love. Like,
I remember him.
And he stamped some shit.
There was a bit of an issue though with was it the renter's insurance? Or there was something where he was like, we were kind of like, oh, if we had that, it might have been more concrete. And he was a bit kind of like, and I was kind of like, oh shit, is that it?
Yeah. I can't remember what the specifics of it.
It was something like that. It was something to do with.
He's like, it was like a conditional, like, I'll approve it, but you still need to send this in like afterwards.
Yeah. But I just remember him kind of saying, well, Amy, I'm going to go ahead and approve your green card. And I just went,
that's right.
Oh, I was like,
that's right.
Thank you.
I remember him saying that.
Yeah.
It's just so weird. It's like,
I even got chills just like thinking about it.
Everything is so clerical and paper driven. But when it comes down to it, it's about this guy's decision. Verbal in his head, sitting in front of our eyes, decision in the moment. And that's just, it's strange when you think about it. It is
very strange. And one thing that our attorney like advised us on too is like, it's not about being fake or being manipulative, but it is just about being like how you conduct yourself in front of them. And it's also like not just the guy who did our interview, but even just any kind of border patrol, any kind of US agent, whether you're traveling or whatever. It's just he's like, you like, if you're in there belligerent telling them what you think and blah blah, like it's completely within their power to say no.
I have my moments where I challenge authority when I feel like it's right, but those are not the times to do it.
Exactly.
So you have no power. We have no power in those situations.
Yeah, because I remember when I go to see you, I remember our lawyer saying to us, he's like, because when you travel and you're going on a long haul flight, you're kind of like, oh, sweats, hair up, keep the face, like you want makeup sitting on your face for 12 hours, but he was like, look like you're going to see your boyfriend. And I was like, okay, so
with the things you pack. Like,
the things you pack.
Because they went through your bag.
They did go through my bag once. Yeah.
And they're looking for anything that would indicate that she's here to work.
Yeah, that was before. So that was
back before the K1.
Yeah.
On the ESTA, here to visit. Because it's all documented. And, we would see each other every few months from December 2017 until you moved here in June of 2019. So it was June, right?
Yeah.
It's a year and a half where every few months we would see each other, and half of that was her coming here. So you used your
The
visitor
ESTA.
privileges often.
I did.
And I think it was starting to catch their eye a little bit.
And
like,
now I was a bit naive to that too, because I thought, like, once you do an ESTA, it's valid for like 2 years. So I was like, oh, well, if I have an ESTA that's good, then I can go back and
Just
forth
use
between
it.
the states. And it turns out that that's not really the case. If you have frequent trips within a few months of each other, you know, they start kind of raising their eyebrows.
I had to do it too. A couple times at Irish immigration, they were asking me a lot of questions about why I was there. So I mean,
Because it was one time that we came together, but that was after we were married. Do you remember we landed in Shannon together?
Yeah.
And he was fine with you.
Oh yeah. No, it was mostly fine. I just remember like some of the trips I would come visit you at Dublin. Like there was even one time where they walked away with my passport. Remember?
I forgot about that.
Yeah, because there's
Like,
something.
what are you doing here?
Yeah, there's something with like their visitor thing where they stamp you, and I didn't need any extra forms, but it still is only valid for a certain amount of like 180 days or whatever.
Yeah.
And then like I was coming back again after that period, and so they were like, okay, but you're outside of your valid stamp from before. I'm like, yeah, but I'm here now, so
Yeah.
And like I don't remember the details, but I remember him having to like call a supervisor, take my passport away. I'm just standing there. I'm like, my fiance's here. Like they live in, you know, they're asking me like, where does she live? I'm like, oh, it's some. You say county first, right? County Mayo, not Mayo County. And I'm trying to think of all these Irish things. He was asking me all these questions. It ended up being fine, but but you know, we did it often because it's hard being that far away, and you know that's one of the reasons I'm sure a lot of people don't make it.
The timeline is muddy from the start of the K1 process to the end of it, because you submit initial paperwork and then you wait for like 6 to 8 months, and then like another thing comes through where it's like, okay, well, we've processed this first bit, so now we want to see this and we want to see this, and you got to schedule an interview, and then from your side they need stuff too. So it's kind of, it was about 1.5 years. Actually, was it even? Because if you...
Well, the entire process from very first application to you moving was 1.5 years. April
if even
2018. Yeah, less than that. April 2018 we applied, and you moved in June of 2019. And we married in August.
It's not that long when you look back.
It felt longer.
I felt like we waited 5 years for that. But when you look back now, it's like, wait.
But had we dragged our heels or screwed up more forms or didn't have the attorney, it could have easily taken... I mean, they tell you this is a 12 to 24 month or something
they
like that.
do say that, yeah, they do.
Period of you know,
waiting.
Something like that. I can't remember the details, but...
You didn't have to do any interview without me, no? Because it was just me. Because I had to...
You had to do your biometrics here. I remember
taking
you to that.
That's right. See, okay, so there's so much.
There's so many steps, guys. Like, and I don't remember them all.
I had to get vaccinations. Yeah. I had to do an interview.
You had to get like a shots, like
I had
a chicken.
To get I had to get a flu shot and a tetanus shot. I had to, and my local doctor did it and had to sign off on it and say this is specifically for a US visa. I remember not even knowing what a tetanus shot was. I was like, because she was giving it to me, and I was like, what is a tetanus shot?
I haven't had mine. I think I need to get mine, actually. It's been well over 10 years. I think it's a once every 10 year thing, right?
I don't know. Basically, she said to me, it's like if you're ever in like a serious accident,
or you like cut yourself with metal, right?
Some kind of like, if you come into contact with rusty metal
yeah.
or like, she's like a car crash. And I was like, and it prevents you from getting...
From dying. I had to take you those like downtown or like near Koreatown kind of where that I had to take you to that. Like I couldn't go in, but I had to drop you off and you had to go in and do biometrics. You had to, what was it? Fingerprints?
I
don't know what you did. Fingerprint.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. That was on one of the trips. Or was maybe that was after you moved?
That was after I moved.
Before the wedding?
Yeah, because we went to the Disneyland Halloween party right after, so I was wearing a piglet costume, but I had to take it off.
I forgot about that.
I had to take off my piglet costume. Could you imagine if I went into my fingerprints in a piglet?
You should have. I would have. They wouldn't have forgotten you.
You're Winnie the Pooh sitting in the car.
Yes. That's right, I remember that. I forgot about that. We did go to Halloween Oogie Boogie Bash.
It was Oogie Boogie Bash, before COVID, when you could actually possibly go. I also had to go to, so part of my process too. You're talking about when you said biometrics, I also had to do a whole medical exam in Dublin. I lived in Mayo, so like Dublin is far. So it's like
not to us.
It was
to us Americans.
It takes a lot of time, like not just the money and the waiting time, but like you have to take time out of your life. Like for us, we had to drive to Dublin and I had to do an interview, and then the medical exam was on a different day. And, so that's a whole process where they literally take samples of everything and put them in vials and send them to the government. Like, this is
Use your imagination.
Yeah. Would you like to hear more?
Yes.
Yeah, so that was a whole day. The tricky part for me, because actually I want to pull up a comment, because this comment from Megan. Yeah, would love to hear about your process with getting the visas, challenges you faced. Did you prepare for denial? Were you confident everything would be okay? So I had a weird experience after my interview because I overlooked my solo interview in Dublin. I overlooked such a minute detail that, I mean, it still was fine in the end, but basically when I had to go to schedule my interview at the US Embassy in Dublin, and you have to bring all these documents with you, which I don't remember all of them, but there's, like, obviously, like, passport, birth cert, proof of relationship. So I had all these printouts of photos of us and dates and
Facebook posts and
Facebook
stuff, yeah.
posts, text messages, call logs.
Right.
Like screenshots of
pictures with each other's family.
Which we had, thankfully, but it's just like,
you don't think about it until you have to think about it. And
yeah.
Like, how many pictures have I taken with her brother? Like,
yeah.
Did I? Like, we did, but where the hell is it? Like,
Right. Yeah, so I had all these, and then, so you get to the whole, and that's a whole ordeal in itself, going to the US Embassy. There's a whole, like, they have a whole security process outside. It's like, you can't bring in a bag you have to bring documents, but you can't bring in a bag that's too big, and, there's all these things that gets really frustrating. So you have to, like, go through, it's pretty much like a mini airport security outside the embassy. And then you get in, and you have to sign this form that says, I have all the documents I need to proceed. And I was like, yes, I have everything, because I'm a perfectionist. So I had everything, like, ready to go. And so you get called up to this first window, which you talk to, like, an Irish person who works at the embassy. And then they kind of, like, double check all the forms before they put you through to the American. So they're, like, going through all the forms, and then they're like, right, okay, you're good to go. So just, you go to window 3 when she calls you, or when he calls you. So she's going through all my documents, and then she gets to I had to get what's like a police form, basically. I think for us it was called a Garda Síochána certificate.
Like a criminal background check.
Yeah, it's pretty much a letter from your, like, it's like the Mayo, the head of the Mayo Garda, basically, which is in Castlebar. So I had to, like, call my local one, and then they kind of put it through to Castlebar, which is like the head division. And basically they sign a form to say that I have no criminal history. That's basically it. But the name, so I had all that, but the name was, they had my name, like, A.B. McDonough. And it was like, perfect. The form was signed and everything. But the Irish lady at the embassy was looking through, and she was like, your name on the Garda form doesn't match the name on your passport, which my passport has my middle name on it too. So she, like, nearly ate the head of me, honestly. I was so, like, stunned, because she was like, how could you have she was like, she's like, you've come all this way and you couldn't even get this right. And I'm kind of like, I don't know, I was stunned. I was like, have I just ruined everything?
Oh, God.
And she was kind of, like, she was really, like, she was laying into me like she was a teacher or something. And
Good thing I wasn't standing there. I might have ruined the whole
exactly.
thing.
Well, that's the thing. It's really hard. Like, you can't, you have to maintain being respectful. So I think I just said, like, because she was kind of, like, she was going at me, and she was like, how, like, this is crazy that you messed this up, like, that kind of thing. And I think I just went, I'm sorry, it was an oversight. And she just went, okay, well, look. And I was just like, I'm sorry. Like, it didn't cross my mind. I had everything else ready. And then she was like, look, I'll put everything through anyway. But she's like, but you need to take care of this. You need to go back to the guards and get a new form where your name, it was literally just my middle name. That's the only thing. And I was like, but that's my name. So anyways, she still put me through, because I was like, am I not even going to get to interview today? I was like, I got this far, like, to the lady before the US person, and I was like, this is as far, like, and just the whole day, like, I the day taken off work to drive to Dublin to.
I remember waiting to hear back from you. And wasn't your mom waiting nearby? Wasn't she at a coffee shop or something? Like, she went with you, right?
Oh yeah, she did.
Not inside, but
right. Yeah. Yeah, she went.
I remember you were nervous.
Oh, it's terrifying. Anyone who's been to an embassy, it's terrifying. It's so scary because I think also like the Americans are like. I mean, usually they're fine, but you know, I think they're kind of known for being like quite scary. At least in my experience, they're like,
but not
"Ma'am,
this time.
what are you doing here?"
Not this time though. She was Irish, right? The one laying into you.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. And then, so anyways, so yeah, she was a piece of work, she was. Anyways, she actually let me do the interview. She was like, okay, she's like, you have everything else. I'm gonna let you do your interview. So I was like, but you need to get this taken care of. And I was like, right, okay, I will. I was already like put off at that point and like extra shaking because I'd been nervous and I'd also now been yelled at. So that's not a good combination when you're trying to, you know, it's like passing a job interview or, you know, it's, you know, that kind of thing. Anyways, so I get called up to the desk to do my official interview, and it sounds like you're in a room on your own with this person. No, you're at a window, like it's the flippin' DMV or the motor tax office. Like everyone can hear you.
Motor tax.
Yeah. Like you're at this window, like there's like 3 windows and I'm at number 3 and then there's 2 other fellas next to me doing the same thing as me pretty much. And the American lady was so nice. She was so
that's good.
nice, which was great. So I forget even what she asked me, but just like, I think she asked me when is Ashton's birthday? Just like stuff like that. Mm-hmm. It's like you gotta have those things ready. It's like even though you know someone's birthday, it might take you a second to think.
Yeah, or like under pressure, randomly, like rapidly asked. Like
exactly.
You gotta think about it.
You're like,
I don't know my own birthday. People ask. I stopped keeping track of my age, and people ask me how old are you. I have to think about it for like half a second. Like, oh, I'm 34.
Yeah. So just things like that, and then we looked through the photos together, and I was like, yeah, I spent Thanksgiving with his family, and you know, just like, and you know, just. Loads of things, and then just like, you know, work and money stuff too. And she was like, yeah, I see the other agent said that your police form, there's an error with your police form. And I was like, yeah, I said I just completely, what's oversight? I said, yeah. It was just a detail. I said, I thought I had everything ready. I said, I'm so sorry. It didn't occur to me that needed to match. You know, I just figured my name is my name. My passport has my middle name. And she was like, oh no, she said, that's okay. She said, but I do need you to fix this. And I was like, I will. Absolutely. I said, as soon as I get home, I will call them and I'll fix it. And she was like, yeah. She said, other than that, she said, everything looks good. She said, I am happy to approve the interview, but because the form isn't right, I have to deny it today. So it was really weird because I had to walk out of the embassy with a letter saying your application has been denied, but it wasn't really denied. Oh, God. So it was kind of like it was what's the word? Bittersweet, discouraging. Yeah. Because I think I wanted to come out to you and be like, I'm approved, which I was, because she was like, we're not. Like, that's not throwing out the whole application process. She just said, but just for today's purposes, like, I had a letter saying, like, your thing has been denied because of this reason. And she's like, you know, they said, fix this. So I had to basically call the guards again and tell them what happened. And then they send me a new form. And then I think I sent it in the post then to the embassy. So they were like, with my passport, I had to send them my passport.
Yeah. That's weird.
Yeah, so I don't have a passport. Yeah. Like, just hope that they don't lose it. And then she's like, once we get that, then you're approved. So it was weird because it's like I was approved, but I had a letter saying I was denied, even though I wasn't really denied, but I was denied that day for that reason. So I remember calling. They didn't fully understand, the lady on the phone at the Garda station. I was like, no, I said, this is what happened. And she was like, but we sent you the form. I was like, no, but they made a big song and dance about my middle name not being on the form. And she was like, okay. I was like, so can I just be very clear? It needs to say, instead of, And she was like, okay, I got it now. I was like, thank you.
Oh my God.
I think she could tell I was like stressed out. I was like, yeah, this is what happened. They absolutely like ate me for this. And she was like, okay, that's fine. We'll get that fixed.
That's funny. In hindsight, it's funny. Not at the time.
I had a physical reaction to telling that story.
Oh my God, yeah. So many of these things we haven't mentally lived through in a long time.
No,
you know?
I know.
We're updating our family as we go, but we're not recalling this once it's passed, you know? And meanwhile, all this is going on. I mean...
We're planning a wedding.
Planning a
wedding, meanwhile.
And like, I'm trying to look back from like a content creation perspective, like of when I started talking about it. I didn't talk about it much that I recall while it was in the process. Or at least I didn't give a lot of details, right? Like I'm trying to remember just like from Trilogy's perspective, like I know our squad and we did like a lot of private live streams and I would it wasn't like a secret.
I actually remember the stream when you said it. I think it was when you did After Dark or something. Because I remember Connor was on the stream with you. And I think you...
Oh, fuck. I gotta rewatch that.
Yeah,
I
don't know where we would even find that, but I think you actually say, like, I have a girlfriend or so, you know, something like that.
Oh my God.
And yeah, like, it was after New York. It was after that.
Okay, but it wasn't during the... Like, I think during the immigration process applications.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't give a lot of details about that because there's just so many unknowns and it's like...
And also the audience was different then. I couldn't imagine now. Oh my God, if you're like now, people would be constantly asking every live stream, like, anywhere on the visa, anywhere.
Which they only do because they care, and I appreciate it. But at some point, like, I have to just like withhold things until it's for sure, you know.
Also, it's like private life stuff.
Yeah,
too,
that too.
You know, even still, we haven't even covered all of it. I don't think.
No, we haven't.
You know,
we could do as many parts of this as you want.
I know.
Some of it helps when it's drawn by questions.
Yeah.
That can lead us into certain topics because it's not just like one simple application, one interview, and then you're done. Like this was an entire, you know, when you factor in our courting, it was almost 2 years long of many different things, many different occurrences. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
Okay.
Technical issues. It's all right.
Okay, let's just resume.
That's why we do backups.
We just potentially lost our audio, but we're okay. Anyways. Yeah. Jen Tobin says, what a beautiful story. Also loved seeing this side of Ashton. I just thought that was interesting. Thank you for a nice comment. By the way.
I don't take that
but
as
it's just, no. It's just, I don't know. I feel like there's a certain portion of the Trilogy YouTube audience that think you're different than who you actually are. Well, that's where my mind went with that.
Yeah, I get that. I've even had my parents, like my dad specifically, will make a comment, like, because I mean they know me, they know, you know, they watch a Trilogy video or a stream, and they I don't want to put words in their mouth, but they almost like would perceive that as like that's not who you really are in your the way that you talk and the way that, but I just don't see it that way. I see like everybody has different. I don't want to word it to make it sound like certain sides of you are real and certain aren't, because that's not what I mean.
No, I
but
get you.
Like you act differently with your mom than you do with your boss.
Yeah.
Or than you do with your acquaintance at work, or that you do with your immigration interviewer. It doesn't mean any of those are fake. You just have a different, the word I'm looking for, not cadence, but a different...
demeanor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Different parts of your life bring out different demeanors of your personality. Different. Right. So I wouldn't say that, you know, if my demeanor in a video or a live stream being loud and vulgar and snarky is me putting on anything. I'm not pretending.
No.
That's just a side of me that I only bring out when I want to bring it out, which happens to be when I'm talking to scammers or when I'm, you know, whatever I'm doing that's pertaining to our content. So I almost kind of agree with that comment. It is another side of me. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's not like one's real and one isn't. It's just
right.
I'm not, the way I talk to, contrary to what you might think, the way I talk to scammers is not how I talk to my wife, you know? So it's not like, so yeah, I appreciate the comment, because usually in our content, I am not I'm not doing this.
Right.
You know, whereas like, you know, someone that is around me, you know, my parents being around me growing up and just knowing how I act as a default.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I agree that my stream and video persona is not my default, but it is another side of me that I access that is there when I am in that headspace.
Yeah.
Just like anyone in the world changes the way that their demeanor is when they're around different people.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to act differently with your 5-year-old child than you are with your mother-in-law. You're not going to act the same. You're just not going to. It doesn't mean any one is fake or one isn't.
Yeah.
It just means that you're just being different based on your current company and your surroundings. It just brings out different sides of you.
I think you explained that perfectly, and that's why I liked Jen's comment, because I feel, and I'm not talking about like, you know, like people who are supportive. I'm thinking more about people who are not supportive,
Sure.
or, you know, like they don't have the wherewithal to understand that people have different sides, just like you just explained. It's not about being fake or you know, having like a good or a bad side. It's just like, yeah, you behave different in different situations depending on who you're around. But also, it bothers me when I read comments on your videos a lot where people are like, Ash is the worst. Or like, you could just tell he's, you know, whatever.
He's got so much rage in him.
Exactly. Or people,
He's so
people,
unhappy.
it's like, I don't mean like supportive viewers. I mean like people who are, you know, like,
they watch one video and they know everything.
yeah, and they just maybe not a lot. There's a minority that are actually very loud, but people who think that you're like this person that's full of rage and always has to be right, and you know, they don't even think for a second, you know, before they leave a comment like that, where they're like,
They
maybe
don't think, period.
well,
It
yeah,
just
exactly.
stops at that. They don't think
Well,
at all.
they need brains to do that.
Yeah.
But like, if you come over here and watch this video, it's like, well, clearly he's not that.
I'm
you
not
know?
being fake when I yell at a scammer. I feel that way. I'm also not being fake when I be sweet with you, because I really feel that way.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, you can have a professional meeting with your boss at work and talk about strategy and be completely real to who you are, and then you can go home and be silly and goofy and play, you know, dolls with your daughter and make funny voices. You're not going to do that with your boss. But that doesn't mean that one of them is you and one of them isn't.
Right.
You're just
different
people in your life,
Yeah.
different circumstances bring out different sides of you, and how you react to those changes is what defines what your personality overall is. Yeah, I can be vulgar and snarky, and I contest when people's opinions are stupid. But that doesn't mean that I am a horrible, always have to be right knobhead.
No, because you're not. You're clearly not.
I don't think so.
And if you don't believe him, take it from me. I don't think anyone knows
you know me
more
better than anyone in
I was going
this-
to say,
in this
there's
world.
no one on the
And
planet.
you're the only one whose opinion I actually care about.
Well, yeah,
so.
exactly. But there's no one else on the planet then who knows you more than I do, despite what comments you might read. And I can tell you right now that he's not any of those things.
Well, thank you.
You're
I'll
welcome.
slip you the 20 later.
Okay. Bills in the mail. But I don't know. I just found that kind of interesting.
Yeah.
I do feel like, though, when you're like, you know, when you're at home and when you're here and in a more of a video setting like this is more who you are, demonstrated perfectly, like the goofiness. Like, I feel like this is more, and like, I'm not saying that, you know, the guy who yelled at scammers is not you,
Right.
but this is more.
This is
like,
closer to my default.
At your core.
Yeah. Where I'm happiest.
Yeah.
I love yelling at scammers, but
Yeah.
you're gonna get the more
I think,
you're gonna get a closer view of my heart when you're gonna see me with you or with Odie or with, you know.
But even like for people who have, I mean, there's a few viewers who have met you in person, and like I think they'd all agree that you actually have a very like calm, gentle presence. You know, like you're just very very chill.
My default state is not to yell at you and call you a dipshit. You have to open your mouth to cause me to do that.
Yeah.
You know, and say dumb shit to me about me, usually in comments. I have no problem standing up for myself or the people around me, but that
Yeah.
isn't my I'm not always on the defense.
No, but I wish I was more like that, honestly, because
Well, we balance it out.
you know,
It's
people
great.
think you're so nice because you don't say boo, but I kind of want to say boo a little bit
You
more.
calm me down when I need it, and I get you. You stand up for yourself, and I help you do that when you need it. So
Yeah,
it's...
well, you're very good for sticking up for me, but I wish I could do it for myself a little bit more.
Well, you got me. You don't have to worry about it.
I'm working on it.
You don't
But
have-
yeah, that's true.
But you got me forever, so you don't ever have to worry about it.
Okay.
Worry about other things.
Pinky promise.
Yeah, got you. I love you.
So speaking of how sweet you are, I have one more comment.
Okay.
This is kind of a long one, but there's just one little part I wanted to. But the K1 process, which have we even fully covered? I don't know.
I'm sure there's gonna be more questions. We'll
So-
do another part. We'll do as many parts of this as you guys are interested in
Yeah,
hearing.
seriously, this is ongoing, I think.
If we're not boring the hell out of you, ask more
Yeah,
questions.
exactly. Lady Chaos. Next video should be the super sweet thing that Ashton did. Remember I teased that last time?
Oh, yeah.
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 Yeah, so should to end this video, should we tell that?
Yeah. Well, and you did one too.
I did actually, in a different format.
It's a totally different thing. Which, if you want to play clips of it, you can in this video. I don't mind.
I can, yeah, I suppose. Again, I haven't watched any of those since.
I haven't either.
So I don't even know
They're
what
still sitting online somewhere,
Yeah.
like in a private link.
in a private link.
They were only
yeah.
for you. So what I did was there was a time, like I said, we worked as hard as we could to make sure that at the end of any trip, because that was always the hardest part, was parting ways. She has to fly, 6,000 miles away, and, not knowing when I'm going to see her next is like the hardest thing. And it was always very, very emotional. And the hardest, probably one of the hardest things I ever did was when we left New York the first time. At that point, we didn't have another trip booked. And I made sure I am not going to go through that again.
Yeah, watch part 1 if you want to hear that story.
One of the hardest things I've ever done was just, there were so many little tiny details that still are burned into my memory as to how I felt when I grabbed the hotel door. It's all very corny and stupid to most people.
Trauma.
But it was genuinely one of the hardest moments of my life.
You remember every little detail and how you felt and what the... Yeah,
I still have
the feel of the doorknob and the smell of the hotel. Yes.
Your face... As I walked away is etched into my brain for the rest of my life.
Likewise.
So it was very important that I make sure that not happen again when our visits end. So we always tried to have a trip booked, but there was just one particular one. I think it was between trips 2 and 3. You came to visit in February.
Yes. I came to LA in February.
And then just with, life and circumstance, we didn't have another, we had another trip on the books, but it wasn't going to be till April. Which
it's so far away.
I know. Look,
February
I know.
to
I
April.
know. I already know. I know it's nothing. I get it. I know. I'm not saying that it's like, life-ending amount of time. I know. Okay.
It feels, but here's the thing.
In the moment, it feels like a fucking eternity.
And it is, because if you're dating someone and you don't see them for 2 months.
Yeah, and it wasn't
That's
just
a long
dating.
time.
I was already married to you in my head. Like, I was already I'm done. Like, I'm not a player. I'm one and done. Like, this, I got it right the first time. I had no prior experience to this, and I'm never going to do it again. And I'm very happy with that. Don't care about it. There's no oats to sow here. I'm fully happy. I was done. So in the moment, and she lives far away, there's so many unknowns with our future. Even though I knew that was my future, I just didn't know logistically how it was going to be. So anyway, the point is, it was a long time for us. And I had the days counted. I think it was like, 86 or something. It was like in the 80s, right? It was like, it was going to be, and it ended up being, the longest period apart from start to finish. It was the longest waiting period in between trips.
Yeah, it was about 80.
Thankfully, we're so fortunate. I know people have it so much harder than us.
I know.
So this is
years without
not
seeing
a
you,
comparison by any means to anyone's story. I'm just telling you what we feel. It doesn't diminish the pain just because the circumstances are not as bad as someone else's.
Yeah, that's true.
All we have to go on and react to is our previous experiences and compare them to now. I can't compare them to how someone else feels. It was going to be the longest period of time. I had this idea that I would do something. It was for you, but it was really for us. It was like a way, basically, it's a very complicated way of doing a calendar cross-off. So if you're counting down days to something and you cross off days on a calendar, this was the idea behind that, but a very complicated way of doing it. So instead of crossing off days on a calendar, I wanted her to wake up to something every morning, every day, counting from 1 to whatever the number, I think let's say 86. I think it was in the high 80s. So I'm like, okay, what can I do? We already talk every day, so there's that. So anyway, what I landed on was I'm gonna make her a video every day from day 1 to day 86. And so what I did was I mapped it all out, and actually I prepped all of this before you visited me because I had this idea because we had both trips booked. Now that I'm thinking back to this, before you came in February, I was going to you in April. So I knew ahead of time it was going to be the longest period because I did everything before you got here. And I remember during the trip I said, look, I know when you leave it's going to be really hard, but I have something for you when you get home.
We watched the first video together, or did you make like a pre?
We may have watched it together.
Like, are you giving me the gift?
I think it was the morning you left. We watched it. I showed you the first one.
Yeah.
In which the first one I explained what the rest of them were going to be.
So it's like you gave me a gift before I left.
Yeah, but it was like the gift was you're going to get one of these videos every morning until I see you next. It took me about 2 weeks, but I made them all already. I made them before she got there. Actually, I think I was like 75% done when you were there. I was like, I had a few more to do, but then like I had a couple months to get those done. I had like the first 60 of them ready. Basically, they were all, I think I even had it on days of the week. And I'd have to look back.
Yeah, it was themed to specific days.
Yeah.
It was like
this isn't exact. We'll have to rewatch the video to remember exactly what it was. And you can play some of it if you want. But like, for instance, Mondays, I was going to show you a little like embarrassing movie clip, like kind of like I do on my streams now.
Some kind of childhood
but
video.
she got them back then. So I would show her something really either cute or embarrassing from me being a child, like when I used to make little movies. And another day was I would tell you a funny story, and then on Wednesdays I forget what it was, but it was something like that.
Themed on certain days, yeah.
So I had it all mapped out. I filmed them all in 1 or 2 days. I just sat on my bed, I set up my camera, and I had them all written out. I had them all planned on which ones were going to be which clips I was going to use. It took me longer to prep it than it did to actually film it.
Yes.
The videos are only 2-3 minutes long, but there were 86 of them. So I had to go through and sit there and record every single one. And then edit them all with the corresponding clips that go with it. So anyway, from day 1 to day 86 or whatever the day was, I had a video for you to wake up to.
Yeah.
So she would get a private like Vimeo link every morning.
I'd wake up to it every morning.
With a password, and she would watch it, and she would have that to look forward to. And I also looked forward to sending it to her.
And seeing my reaction to it.
Getting your reaction to whatever the thing was I was doing.
Yeah, so I'd just wake up in the morning and reach for my phone. I'd have a little video.
And without fail, I had them ready.
Oh, yeah. Every day. Yeah, you didn't miss a day. And then it was time for the next trip. And
which it was filmed in the apartment, the old Trilogy apartment.
Yes, that's right.
Like I filmed them in my room, but people will recognize that room probably.
And the last day was like, I'll see you
tonight or tomorrow or whatever it was. Yeah,
I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was like a countdown, cross off, but like something to look forward to every day to make it easier. On the morning of Monday, April 9th, 2018. And in this moment, probably feeling a bit confused as to why you're watching a video of me when I'm currently right next to you. And as hard as I'm trying to remain positive and focus on our incredibly bright future, I can guarantee that I'm feeling an overwhelming and all-consuming sadness and devastation right now. And now for the third time, that's going to be countered with the saddest and most difficult thing I've ever had to do, parting from you. And this one is especially difficult because we are about to have our longest period of separation that we've had yet. So in the spirit of smiles and focusing on the good, I've prepared this little video for you today as a gift. A gift that will hopefully lift your spirits a little bit right now, in this moment, and remind you how deeply in love with you I am and how badly I need you. And if it makes this day even the slightest bit easier for you to get through, then my goal is met. The only problem is that this is just one day. The reality is that we have many, many days ahead of us that we're going to be apart until we're together again on July 1st. 83 days, to be exact. And I can't stand the thought of you being sad on any of those days either. So, I've actually prepared a video for you for every single day that we're going to be apart until we're together again on July 1st.
I hope this serves as a daily reminder at how important you are to me, how madly, insanely in love with you I am, and hopefully serves as a little bit of a pain reliever during the 83 days that we're going to be apart. And there will be tears today, but just focus on the future. I promise you, it's happy, and it's bright, and it's us, together, forever. I don't even know what to say. Honey, I leave today. And I'm going to be with you tomorrow in Ireland. Today, it is June 30th. And I'm going to Ireland today. That is insane. I hope that this communicated to you how deeply in love with you I am. And not just because of the effort. It's not even the time I took to do this. That's not even what it's about. It's just like, I'm so comfortable showing a side of myself and a side of my past to you that I don't show anybody else. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you tomorrow.
For all 86 long days.
Perilous. Eternity.
It sounds ridiculous now, but all you can go on is how you're feeling at the time. And at the time, that was a very long time.
Okay, well, ask
so,
anybody,
but your perspective.
Anybody watching, if you have a boyfriend or girlfriend or husband or wife, how would you feel if you didn't see them for 86 days?
Yeah.
It's a long time.
Yeah.
It's a long time without your other half.
I know there's a lot of people that have to experience that for work and
absolutely,
whatever else.
But I'm sure they can acknowledge it's a long time and it's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I couldn't go 86 days without Odie.
No. So we'll save the sweetest thing you did for next time. Because you did one, I think I inspired you, because then on the next term, she had one for me, but it was different.
It was different. Mm-hmm. We'll tell that next time.
I still have it, too.
You do, that's right.
Let's just say it involves a jar. I'll say that.
A big old jar. Yeah, let's tell that next time.
Okay.
Okay. And whatever else screenshots we can find, but we're through the immigration process, so next is moving.
Moving and wedding.
Moving and wedding. That was a crazy summer.
We have a wedding video. No one's really ever seen it.
That was the best / worst summer of my life.
Lovely. I'm sorry.
Anyway.
Anywho,
I think this video's been about usual length for these videos, so it's probably a good place.
Fast asleep, so we know we did our job.
Yay! Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed part 3, and if you haven't seen part 2 or part 1 yet, do go back and watch them. I can have them linked below. Yes, they're probably should go into a playlist at this point. And if you do have any questions or anything else that we talked about today that maybe we tangented it away from and you'd like to know more about, just drop them in the comments and we will we'll read them and we might include them in a future episode. Very exciting.
Love you.
I love you too. the seamlessness of that. Love you. Don't forget to like. Seriously though, do like the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Look forward to more music content coming very soon. And also subscribe to Trilogy Media as well. But I'm sure you already are. Thanks again. Bye.